Hello everyone. Today I'll be discussing with you different applications of the Origin program. And like you know, Origin is a program that is basically designed to plot data for data analysis and for graphing of your data. So this tutorial will be divided into different parts, and this will be the first part, tutorial 1. There will be several other tutorials that will describe different uses of the Origin program and it to kind of ascend in like complexities, but not necessarily because sometimes I will find something very useful and I'll decide to post it. So that means that there are different other tutorials after this one. There will be tutorial 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, addressing different things. So in order not to miss out on this, you can subscribe to my channel. And as soon as I upload any new thing, you get an update and you can watch it and you improve your skills. Alright, so what are we going to be doing today? Let's go straight into today's objective. So for today, we have 5 things that I'll be dealing with, and we'll go through them one after the other. So the first thing will be how to import file into Origin. So whenever you perform an experiment, you save your file in an ASCII format, TXT, Excel, or even CSV. Origin is very powerful enough to be able to import this file directly that you've saved from the instrument and open it up for you to plot or perform data analysis. So we'll be learning how to import the files into Origin software. Next thing we'll be doing is how to plot the data that you've imported. And today we'll be looking at just simple data, the X and the Y data, 1X and 1Y, just to start with for beginners. Then we will be looking at how to format the plot that you've made. And this is just very important, especially when you're going to be publishing your data. So you want to make it look beautiful and also to have a high resolution. So I'll be showing you how to do this in Origin. Then I'll be explaining to you how to export your data out of the Origin plotting software so that you'll be able to use it for your presentation or put it in your publication. And that is very important. It could be a little bit challenging to do that correctly. And then there will be some bonus on how to quickly export your data out of Origin and re-edit it later. For example, if you want to quickly present the data, you can just plot the data in Origin and you don't have to go through all the steps of exporting it in JPeg and all this. You can just transfer it directly to the PowerPoint and then maybe you send it to maybe your advisor or your friend, and if they have Origin program, they can also edit your data or even make some adjustments to the plotting format. So this is one of the powerful things about Origin, and I'll be showing you how to do that today. Alright, let's get started. So right here we have the Origin Pro 2016. That is the version of the Origin I'm using and I'll be using. And I have it open. Well, if you have the Origin program open in your computer, all you just need to do is to double click maybe the desktop shortcut and it will open up, or you can just type it into the search bar and type Origin and it comes up, and then you can double click it and it opens up like this. So if you don't have a Origin Pro 2016, that is also fine, because the Origin program, once you learn how to use a version, it basically transfers to the other one. And you only need to learn 1 or 2 things to be able to use it proficiently, but you can basically use it for every other thing that you think you want to do. Okay, so that is fine whatsoever version of the Origin program that you have. So when you open up the Origin software, by default it opens up like this. But I've seen some other situation where you don't have the book open. So if that's the case, you can just go right here on your computer to new workbook. One of the tabs, you'd have a new workbook. When you double click it or you click this one time, it come up with another book. So that solves that problem. So I only need one book for this tutorial, so I'm going to delete book 2 to avoid confusion. All right, now we have the origin open. Now let us import our data. So that will be the first thing. We're going to import our data. So right here, you go to File, to import data, you go to your File, and from File, you go to Imports, and then you have other options that pops up. You have single ASCII, multiple ASCII, Excel. If you click this down arrow, it comes up with every other options. But to start with, we're going to start with single ASCII, which is just a simple format. Okay, so let's click that, and then it comes up with a box that's prompting you to go to the direction or the folder where your data is stored, and then we can choose your data. So right here, I already have my data here, sample data. But if yours is not there, you can just play around the direction in your computer to locate your data. And once you find it, you can just come right here and double click this, or just click it once and click open, whichever way. So you can see we have our data imported into origin. All right, now from this you can see AX at the top here, and you can see BY. Okay, so the way origin works is that it lists the column alphabetically. So the next column will be, the following one will be D, E, and so on and so forth. But usually the first column is by default X, like you can see here, AX. So the next column will by default be BY. And every other column will be Y as well, like CY, DY, EY, and so on and so forth. Okay, so when you want to make your plots, especially in a simple plot where you want to have your X and your Y, in this case, you want your X to always be on the left of the Y that you want to plot, which is what we have here. Okay, so we are good now. So now we can go ahead and make our plots. So the way I normally do it is just to click this top box right here, this one. All right, and then I do the next thing. But some people might decide to just click it one after the other. And to do that, to click them together, you have to hold down the control button or the command button on your computer, and then you click the next one with the command or control button still being held down, and then you can do whatsoever you want to do. But this is just like not so easy, so I just prefer to just click this box. It automatically selects everything. Okay, so then you go to plot right here, and then you can choose how you want to plot your data. So you can plot your data as line, and I will plot it in 3 different ways in case you want to plot it in one of the ways, just for you to see. So let's start with plotting as a line. So it basically plots your data as a line, like you can see. And this is your Y, and this is your X. So one thing to note is that when you go back to your data, you go back to that workbook, you can see that the unit of Y is ABS, and the unit of X axis is time in minutes. So if you go to your graph, it is time in minute for X and ABS for Y. So the units are always in brackets. Okay, and then this is just some sample label we can always edit it, so it's nothing to worry about, and I will show you how to edit it without going back to the workbook. You can just edit it directly from the graph. Okay, but before we do that, let us go back to the workbook and see the other ways we can plot our data. Just click this box like I did the first time, go to plots. So we can plot as symbols as well. So you go to symbols and you choose scatter. So that basically plot it as data points. So it's like when you perform an experiment, for example, maybe you are scanning. So the instrument is taking data points. It's scanning at a particular rate, maybe 1 scan per minute, or maybe 30 scan per minute. So each scan is what you see by this data point. Okay, some people want to do it like that so that they can see how many data points are collected to improve maybe the credibility of the experiment, because when you plot a line can be formed from a few data points. Maybe some lines can even be formed maybe from 3 data points. So if you plot a line without the actual data points, people don't know how many data that were in that particular line. But when you plot the data point, it makes people know, oh, you collected a lot of data points, and makes you look more credible. Okay, all right. Now we've been able to plot it as a data point. Okay, so that is another way. So one way, the last way that I like to do it is to plot it as a line and data point. So we'll go back to the table. So you go to plots. So you can plot line and symbol. Okay, and here you have a line and a symbol. So you can see you have the data points and also lines in between. All right, so whichever way that you like, whatever you want to do, you can choose to do. Okay, all right, so let's just go to the first plot, and the graphs are always arranged in the order in which they are plotted. So the first one without plotted, that plot will be graph 1. So right here. Now let's play with this graph and kind of try to format the figure, which is a third thing that we have on our agenda today. So to format it, okay, makes it more look beautiful and presentable. Some things you can do. So first thing I like to do is to increase the thickness of the line. So the way it is right now, when you try to present it, the resolution will be bad because people will not be able to see it. So in order to format the line, origin is very easy. Just double click the line, and then you have a box that pops up right here. So this box is called plot details. Okay, so now what it does is that you have line. You can see this this section. You have line, drop lines, and also labels. So the line is already checked whenever you double click the line. So what you can do is to you can play with the line. We already chose straight line. You can choose some other ones, but for simplicity we are staying with straight line. Okay, and we want it to be solid. You can make it dash, as the case may be, whichever you want, but we are making it solid in this case. Solid means there's no space between the lines. Then the thickness of the line can be changed by adjusting the width. By default, origin plots with a width of 0.5. Okay, but whenever I plot, I like to use 3 for my line. And I can change the color of the line. Currently it's black. Okay, and I can change the color. But before I change the color, you can always apply the changes that you've made and see how that changed with the plot. So when you click apply, you see that the thickness of the line has changed. Okay, so let's assume that I want to change the line to red. I click red. It changed to red. And you can make some other changes, like, well, as well, maybe by changing the transparency, but you don't need to change that because you just want to make a plot, right? So let's leave it as red. Let's keep the line red. Okay, and then we just click OK. All right, we've been able to change the line. Then what else do you want to do to make this look beautiful? All right, so another thing I like to do is to change the thickness of this axis, and also put a mirror such that I have a square. All right, how do I do that? Just double click the line again, and then you have a box that pops up. Okay, so because I click the y-axis, by default it chooses y-axis. You can see it right here, and here it's vertical. So vertical is y-axis, horizontal is x-axis. So now let's deal with the vertical. And we want to change the thickness of the line. So you go to line and ticks. Okay, and I want the thickness to be 3. The higher the number, the higher the thickness that you have. And I usually use a length of 15 for the ticks. Okay, so you can see you have major ticks and also minor ticks. So major ticks we choose to be out. That is why you have the tick being outside of this axis. And I'm choosing the length of it to be 15, which means the length of the major tick will be 15. Now minor tick is also going to be out. So you can choose the length of it if you want as well, maybe 5. But I usually just leave this, but if you choose 5, that's also good. You just don't want it to be the same length as the major tick. Hence, you will not be able to distinguish the difference between the major and the minor tick. So the minor tick should always be lower than the major tick. So if you click apply, then you have this. But I like to leave it as default. It's auto is just fine. And you can see it's just kind of select what looks best. Alright, so you can see that change. So you kind of just do the same thing for the x-axis, which in this case will be bottom. Okay, so you click bottom, and then you select the length 15, and the thickness of the line will be 3, and then you click apply. So you can see those changes are already made. Now our plot is looking more beautiful, isn't it? Okay, what else? You remember I like to create a mirror of the axis so that I have like a box around my plot. It makes, you don't have to do that, but it kind of just makes your plot look more beautiful. All right, so if I want to do that, there are 2 ways to do that. But the fastest way, I think, is just to click this box here. So we are still in bottom. So I click the box that says use same options for bottom and top. So you click that. And if you click apply, then you should have a line showing up at the top. Okay. But I don't want the ticks for the top line. It's okay if you want it for your plot. But for me, I don't want it in this case. It's useless. I don't need anything to read from the top. So I can just go to the top and then click uncheck this use same option for bottom and top. Okay, so what it does is that it decouples the change that I'm going to make at the top from the bottom. You remember that I'll check the box to use the same option before, but now that I uncheck it at the top, it decouples the top from the bottom. And then I can just go straight and remove the ticks. So instead of having major tick as out, I'll choose none. Instead of having minor as out, I'll choose none. So it removes the major and the minor tick for the top. And then you click apply and they're gone. Okay, so we're just going to do the same thing for the right axis. So I go to the left and I choose use same option for right and left. You apply, you see that. And then we go to the left, we go to the right, and then we decouple the right from the left, and then we remove the ticks, and then apply. And here we have. Isn't this look more beautiful? It looks more beautiful, of course. So one other thing that you can do in Origin is to select the range of data that you want to display. Like you can see in this case, we have 0 and we're seeing values from negative time, or we are seeing values from negative time on the x-axis. Of course, in reality, negative time does not exist, right? So we want to get rid of that in order to make our data look more professional. So two ways we can do it. Or we can use the shortcut button where you just take this and just zoom in. But this is not as accurate as you want to get. So in order to do it more accurately, you just want to go to, you double click the axis, in this case x-axis, and then we go to from, as you can see, it's from -25 currently to 275. So we want to remove the -25 and change it to 0 because we can only start from time 0, right? And then you click OK. So you can see everything looks good now. And if you want to change the y-axis, I'm okay with what it looks like. But you know, if you want to change it, you basically do the same thing. So we currently have 0.3 to 0.675. But you know, whenever you make a plot, people want to the data to be at least 2/3 of the plot size. So it looks fine for me, but you can also make some adjustment based on your preference. Okay, so you just do that same thing. That's it. Now we are getting close to where we are going. Now we have the data plots, but some things still needs to be dealt with. So the first thing is the axis. So if you want to change the title of the axis or the axis label, so you just double click it and then you can Control A or select all, and then you can write whatsoever that you want. For example, in this case, I want to write absorbance because the unit of the y-axis is absorbance, or the label for y-axis is absorbance, and then the unit will be absorbance unit, which is AU. And when I'm done, I just click enter. I just click outside of the box, and then it's formatted. And the units on the label for the x-axis is time. So I write time, and then the unit is in minutes. And then I click outside of the box again. So now we changed the labels for the axis. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so let's assume that we now want to label the legend. So we have the legend. So this box that you have here is called legend. It's just like a key. Okay, so let's assume that we have that. Of course, this is going to be a key to something. So I can call this decay plot. Decay plot. Because we see decrease with time, right? So it's decaying. So I'm just calling it decay plot. So as it is, it has met the basic requirements of a standard plot. Okay, but for me, this is still kind of a little bit away from the best that I could do. So now let's go to the best. All right. So first, the box in this legend, I like to get rid of it. I don't like it whenever I put it in a presentation. It looks kind of weird having a box inside a box. So to get rid of it, I just click it just one time, and then I can go to this pencil sign. So when you click this down arrow, it comes up with option. You can see it's currently selecting black, and that is why you see that black box. So you want to change it to white. Okay, nothing is going to show again. It's gone. It looks more presentable, isn't it? Now, another thing that you can do is to change the size of the labels of the axis ticks or the values. Alright, so just click it once, and then you can increase the size of those labels. So you just come here. You can also change the font. Usually I don't change the font, I just leave it as the default area font, but I do change the sizes. So for the axis labels or the tick labels, I use 28. It's very visible. And then I do the same thing, and you can bold it if you want. Bolding it makes it look like more embossed, but this is good as well. Then I do the same thing for the x-axis, change it to 28. Okay, now we are cutting off our axis label, or you can just click inside the plot, okay, and just drag it until they become visible. Alright, so what do you notice? You can see that the tick labels are bigger than the axis labels. This should not be, so we need to change the axis label to higher font size, at least equals to or greater than 28. I usually use 36. Okay, and I'll do the same thing for the x-axis as well. Ctrl A to select all, and then change it to 36. So let me just say something here. One beautiful thing about the Origin plotting software is that most of the commands in the Microsoft Word also works in this plotting software, and that makes it more user-friendly. Like I've been mentioning Ctrl A, so you can hear me mentioning Ctrl A, Ctrl Z and all those things is because those shortcut commands that works in the MS Word also works in the in Origin. As a matter of fact, you can Ctrl Z, which Ctrl Z in Microsoft Word means to undo. So you can Ctrl Z most of the things that we've done as well. And I'm going to try it. So if you do Ctrl Z, you can see this change. But Ctrl Y doesn't take it back to where it was before. So I'm just going to return it manually to 28, to 36 rather. So things are looking pretty nice here. And then what else are we gonna do? We can adjust the page size. So you can do something like go to Format, go to Page Property, and you can adjust the dimensions of your plot. For example, the width is currently 10.72 and the height is currently 8.208, and this is in 205, and this is in inches. So some people like to plot their graphs as a box. Currently it's like a rectangle, so you can just change this to 10.72, which is the same width, and then you have this. So but this all depends on whatsoever that you want. Okay, so I'll just take this back to what it was. Okay, so go to Format, Page Property, 8.205. All right, so this was where we were. So now we've been able to make a decent plot. Another thing that we need to do is to change the size label for the legend to 28 as well, to make it more visible when you copy this into your PowerPoint presentation. All right, so we are good. So right now we have a good and standard plot. So this is how to plot in Origin. All right, so at this point in time, you can go ahead and make your home plot if this is satisfactory for you. Okay, so another thing that you can do, like I showed you, you can make the plot in several other ways, like data points, or just data pointing with the lines. So you can actually make the modification from here as well. Okay, by clicking this, it converts it to data point, or you can click this and convert it to data point and line. It's just so simple, isn't it? So you don't have to do them one by one. Okay, and let's just keep it with a line. And if we are keeping it with a line, or we are having just data points, or we are having this, the only thing that we need to do is to just change the line width again to 3. Okay, and we can change it to red like we had before. Okay, and then we can change the symbol. Currently we have square, and that's what it's showing here. So you just go to symbols, and we can change that to whatsoever symbol that we want. Let's say I don't really like square for my plot. I like to use something like a circle, and I can say maybe I want it to be black in color, and I want the size to be like 15. Okay, so we apply that, and we go to the line, which is red. Okay, so the circle is kind of like covering the red line. So in this case, you don't want a filled circle. So maybe you want something that's not filled so that you're able to see the line. The choice is yours. You can make a lot of modification and play with the with the program. So here we have to choose the edge color. We have to be black. So the edge color is what goes around, like you can see it's black here, and currently it's white field, so we want to change it to none. Okay, and I symbol should be, let's change it back to, yeah, we're changing to this. Edge no fill should be none. Yeah, so we have this, and then we go back to the line. So the line is still not showing. Okay, let's try to see in this case where we have the line and the symbol. So we go to line, we change it to solid 3, red, symbol, we want it to be this, and then 15, we want black, right? Let's see. Oh, we want black. All right, so let's say this is 3, then let's reduce the size. Okay, you can see that. So I think the problem is with the size of the symbol. So if the symbol is too large, then we fail to see our line. And if we do that here as well, it's because the symbol is too large. So let's put it around 8, and then we can see the line. Okay, so this is the plot. Now, how do we import the plot out of origin? So what we can do, let me take this back to the line. What we can do to import it is to go to File and go to Export. You don't want to choose last used because you don't know what you did last. and I always prefer to just open the dialog so I can kind of interact with the software to determine how I want my plots to look like and where I want it to be saved. Okay, so I just open the dialog, and right here you want to choose image type. So there are several options, but we want to import our plot as a JPEG, which means like a photo. You can also choose maybe PNG, but I prefer the JPEG. So you choose the JPEG, and you want to import the active page, okay, which means this plot that we've just made. And then the file name, you can type the file name here, but it kind of becomes more difficult because then you have to go to the path and select where you want your file to be saved. For example, let me show you. If you click this, it's like kind of like a tree, which makes it difficult. So to make your life easier, instead of doing the file name here, just writing the file name, because you can write a file name here as well. You can just just click this box, and then it opens up a bigger box. So then I can go to sample data, and then I can save my file that call it as sample data plot, and click save or enter. Alright, so you can see the name is updated here. The path is also updated. So easy. Okay. Now, other things that you'll want to do, if you want to change the dimension, you can uncheck the auto, but it's always fine to have it the way it is. I've never had a problem with it. And also you can change the resolution. 300 is good enough for plots, and I don't need to change anything basically. So the only thing you need to change for the basic things is to just find the file name by clicking this box for the file name, and then just come right here and you click OK, and your plot has been created. So what you just need to do now is to go to the direction or the path where you saved your file. So I remembered I saved it in sample data, and right here I already have the sample data plot created. So if I double click it, I should have my plot, and here is my plot. Isn't this beautiful? And I can always copy this and put it in maybe a PowerPoint. Okay, so let's say I have a PowerPoint. Isn't this professional? Alright, so that is how to export your plot from Origin to a PowerPoint, and also you can put this in your maybe manuscript or whatsoever you want to put it in. Okay, now another thing that we plan to talk about is the tip and the trick with importing and exporting out of the Origin program and being able to edit it later. I find this very useful, especially in situations where I'm in a hurry to present my data, and I know that I just want to present it, and then I'll come back and make some changes in terms of the formatting later on, or I just want to keep it in the formatting that I think is the best, and then maybe somebody else can make some changes later on to the formatting. So to do that, you just come to the Origin program with on the page where you have your plots, and right click and choose this copy page. Okay, now I can go to PowerPoint and just paste it. So you have several options. So you don't paste as a picture, because when you paste the picture, it's kind of hard to edit. So what you can just do is just to Control V, or just paste normal, same thing. Okay, and yeah. So before we go on to the next thing, which is to show you the power of this copying and pasting to PowerPoint, we can decide to save this. So to save, you just go to File, and then you can save projects. So Origin saves everything. So, and when it saves it, you can save it as a project. So you click Save as Project As, and then you can go to Data, and then you save it as sample data, and click Save. That's it. So now I can close this. All right. Now let me show you the power of this. So this is the JPEG that I'll copy. We cannot make any edits whatsoever because it's a picture. Okay. But this right here, we can still make some changes. So I have Origin already installed in my computer. Now, if I double click this, look at what happened. Voila. Here we are again with the plot. And you can make changes. Okay. Do everything you want to do. Update the plot. As if you still have it. So whenever you send your data in PowerPoint to somebody else, and that person asks Origin, he or she will be able to make changes to the plot. So this is very good. And I really like this about Origin. So we're going to stop there today. And in the next video, we're going to move forward on other things that we can do with Origin. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and watch out for updates on tutorial 2. Have a great day.